Hey, Succeedu here, founder of onlinefitnessbusiness.com, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through what it's like and how to move to Dubai, get set up over here in Dubai, and live in Dubai as well. A completely transparent, honest walkthrough of the whys, the hows, the pros and cons, the tips, the advice, and everything that I wish I knew before I moved over here. I'll walk you through the financial aspects, so the cost of living, and the tax element or lack of tax. I'll walk you through where to live or where I recommend that people live with examples of budgeting and how much each area may cost. I'll walk you through how to actually move over here or how we did it, how to get set up over here. So if you're a business owner, which most of you will be, how to set your business up over here, how to get visas, Emirates ID, and what that process looks like as well. And then, like I said, just the pros and cons, the lifestyle here, how to get the most of it, and how to ensure that you do it in the right way and you're completely prepared as well if it's the right move for you, which it may not be, and hopefully this video will help you figure that out too. Before we dive into all of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below this video, give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel, it helps me, but it also helps other people to find this video that may need to see it. So hit that subscribe button below for me now. So it's the question that it kind of fits into two, maybe three categories. The first one is family, like what we felt was best for us as a family. And we settled on Dubai because we felt like it would provide the best balance for us as a family in terms of safety, schooling for Ivy, and the people that would be around. That was a big factor, financial reasons as well. So we balanced up the cost of living alongside the tax situation in Dubai, which is basically zero tax, but I'll walk you through the tax in a second, and I'll also walk you through examples of budgeting and cost of living. But we weighed those things up, and it was a no-brainer financially. We are way better off on a personal level living here. And then the third reason is, it's a poor way to describe it, the general vibe within the society. And for me, there's a better vibe group of people here because, like I said, for the most part, and the people that we will be around, it's expats who have come here to better their lives and better themselves and do better for their families. And again, they're the kind of values that I have and I want to be around, and I want my family to be around and kind of absorb as well. So we got a shipping container, 20-foot container to ourselves to ship all of our belongings over from the UK. It cost just over £3,000. If you have so we were living in a 4-bedroomed home in the UK. We had loads of belongings that would be useful here, and that's why we did it. I have friends that just sold all their stuff and moved over here. What you've got to weigh up is, if you are selling all your stuff and moving over here without the majority of it, you'll probably still have a lot to carry with you in luggage. So the cost of that may end up being not quite the same, but still quite a lot anyway. So they're the two options. You sell your stuff, or if you don't have much stuff, you just come without anything. Or you use a company like we used, a company called Pickford's in the UK, and they came, packed everything up from our home in the UK, and they were superb as well. The service was so good. Shipped it in a 20-foot container, and when it arrived here, the company that took over brought it to our home here, unloaded it, unpacked it, put together the furniture, and again, superb service. Cost about £3,000, £3,500 maybe. If you don't, and you have a lot of belongings to bring with you in your luggage when you fly over, I would look into the cost comparison of traveling business class versus traveling economy and having loads of baggage. Because what you may find is traveling business class works out cheaper because you get a higher baggage allowance. So again, we kind of used an end-to-end service like we did for the shipping our belongings over, just through pure convenience. We used a company called Pawson Pets, I believe, just over £2,000. They picked Bert up from our home in the UK, took him to Heathrow. He was accompanied from Heathrow to Dubai. He actually arrived in Dubai before us. So he was with Pawson Pets for a day, and then when we arrived in Dubai, he was delivered to us. So literally a door-to-door service for Bert as well. In terms of like how dog-friendly Dubai is, not as dog-friendly as the UK. If you are bringing a dog over, just be aware of that. Some areas aren't as dog-friendly as others. So I live in a villa community. It's way more dog friendly, but it's still dogs on leads. But if you're in places like Dubai Marina and you live on Marina Walk, no dogs allowed. So the first thing you need is either a job over here or to set up your business over here. I'm going to assume that most of you are business owners that are watching this. So the first thing you need to do is set up your business or begin that process. Now you can get help from consultants, and which is what I did and what I'd probably recommend. That will help you and do a lot of the work for you / with you, so you do everything correctly and it's done as efficiently as possible. But you can also do it yourself. I didn't do it myself, so I don't know how. But step one is setting up your business. For most of you, the correct way to go is to set up your business in a free zone. Again, Google that. You'll find the answer to what that means pretty quickly. And it's going to cost you around somewhere between 15 to 20,000 dirhams to do that. And then there's a renewal each year as well, which is a little bit less. So 15 to 20,000 dirhams, somewhere current guesstimation is around £3,000 to £4,000. Once you do that or start that process, and by the way, there will be an additional fee if you get help. So if you're using a consultant, there'll be a fee for that stage of the process. Once you've begun that process, you can start your visa process. The visa itself isn't that expensive. It'll probably cost you around 2,000 dirhams, and they're the government fees, they're non-negotiable, it's just they are what they are. And again, if you use a consultancy or somebody to help you, they may charge extra on top for the service of helping you. So once you've got your business set up over here, probably within a free zone in Dubai, and then you start the visa process. The visa process itself goes through a few different stages. So you apply for the visa, you get something called an e-visa / change status. Then you need to go for a medical, which I think is a chest x-ray and a blood test. Then you need to get your biometrics done, which is fingerprint and face recognition. And then after that, you can then get your Emirates ID, but there's a little bit in between where you almost need to get health insurance at the same time. So you can't get your health insurance until you're at that stage, but you can't go past that stage and get your Emirates ID until you have health insurance. A little bit of a tricky step, but you need health insurance to live in Dubai. Once you've got that health insurance sorted out, and the cost of that ranges from literally a box ticking exercise, which will cost you maybe 1,000 dirham for the year, which is £200 for the year, maybe even cheaper ones, to more comprehensive ones. The cheapest options, the box ticking options, probably aren't going to help you if you ever do run into medical issues. So you're probably going to spend somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 dirhams to 1,000 to 2,000 pounds. To give you an example, the health insurance that I got for myself, Amy and Ivy, was about 55,000 dirham, but it's incredibly comprehensive, probably a little bit over the top, and I'll probably go for a cheaper one next year. So once you've got your health insurance, you can get your Emirates ID, it's like a little ID card, and then you're pretty much good to go. Once you've done that, you can get your driving license, you can rent a house or an apartment, and do everything within Dubai that any other resident can do once you've got your Emirates ID. Before you get your Emirates ID, you're quite restricted. You can't rent an apartment, as in a long-term rental. You can't rent a car from a lot of places. You can't sort your driving license out. I couldn't even get internet until I had that Emirates ID. So it's a bit tricky until you get that. But then once you've got that, you're effectively a resident. So for most of you, the answer to this question will just be no. There's really no income tax. The answer is zero. The only tax there is here is when you buy things within Dubai. So in a store or a restaurant, if you're buying alcohol, there are certain taxes. And also if you sell to people within Dubai, there is a 5% VAT. So just be aware of that. And I think you have to register for that as well if you are selling within Dubai. But for the most part, zero income tax, zero VAT, zero corporation tax, zero tax whatsoever. So for the places to live, we're going to dive into my computer, into it, in front of it. I'm going to walk you through the best places to live that I believe for expats coming from the UK, and also the costs and the budgets and where it might suit you depending on where you are in life, whether you're a family or single/couple. So here we have a map of Dubai, or most of it. Some of it's cut off, but you don't need to worry about that anyway. I'm going to walk through the areas that I think are best for British expats to live, or Western expats. So a lot of you will recognize this. It's the Palm Jumeirah, and it's a nice place to start. The Palm is great. It's convenient for apartments around the bottom of the Palm, the trunk, if you like. Great place to live. Can get expensive. If you want a villa, then you're best prepared to either pay millions to buy or, a lot of money to rent, 6 figures plus to rent a villa on the Palm. And that's probably lowballing it. So we'll start there and then we'll move inland. Most of the best places to live for expats almost run in a straight line of the Palm. So just to the left of the Palm, we have Dubai Marina over here and also JBR. So Jumeirah Beach Residence is over here as well. This is probably where I would live if I was single or if it was just myself and Amy. Either Dubai Marina, JBR, which I think is here, Jumeirah Beach Residence, or maybe on the Palm as well. All super convenient. You can walk around, loads of shops, restaurants, cafes. Again, can be a bit expensive, but Dubai Marina and JBR does have more affordable places to live as well. And I'll give you an example of that when we walk through cost of living in just a minute. So they're the first places that I recommend. But the next kind of places that are kind of populated with a lot of families or expats are these areas down here. So we have Dubai Hills over here. Let's see if I can zoom in over here. This area here, and I live in Dubai Hills, and I absolutely love it because of the location. It's really easy to get to the Palm, Marina, JBR, and then also to a lot of our friends in the ranches. The golf courses are all over here. For me, it's just super convenient location. What we've also got over here as well is downtown Dubai. This is also a great place to live for British expats. Again, very walkable, connected, lots going on here, restaurants, bars, etc. But it's almost a great place to live on its own. It's quite disconnected from the Palm, Marina. I say disconnected. It's a 25-minute drive maybe. And I wouldn't actually go any further out than that, unless you were trying to do Dubai on the cheap, in which case you have Sharjah over here, or Deira, I believe is just before there as well. Much cheaper areas to live, but obviously not much going on. Sharjah is also a dry state for the most part, which means no alcohol is allowed. So for most of you, I would probably stick to downtown maybe, but you just be aware that you are a little bit away from the other thriving areas in Dubai. Apartment areas over here, villa communities, Dubai Hills, which is a new community, which is where I live. I absolutely love the location. It's just going to get better and better. There's a mall there as well. And then we start moving further out from the beach or the coast, if you like. There is a huge British expat community in Arabian Ranches. Arabian Ranches 2 is a little bit further out, probably too far out. Whoops. Arabian Ranches is great. Motor City and Dubai Sports City, also good places to live, especially if you want a villa. Damac Hills is another new estate. Again, it's a little bit further out, but modern villas, plenty of apartments as well. But I would suggest these areas if you were looking at villa living, not necessarily apartment living. Apartment living, to be honest, I just think if you're going to live in an apartment, why wouldn't you want to live in these buzzing areas with lots to do, with amazing views? So this is a hotly debated topic, the cost of living in Dubai. There are some things here that are unavoidably way more expensive than anywhere else in the world. But there are also things here that don't need to be as expensive as some people make them out to be. So I'm going to break this down to a few different areas, the cost of living associated with where you live, so your home, your shopping or your groceries, and then a few other bits like cost of schooling kids if you've got kids, buying a car, petrol, who knows. First one is related to where you live. So I'm just going to give you some rough examples. The first thing that I'm going to say is you can spend as much as you want. If your budget is unlimited, you could spend it, right? If you have £100,000 per month to spend on rent, there's probably a place for you in a lot of locations in Dubai. So I'm going to look at the lower end and what is realistic. And I'm going to stick to the locations we've already spoke about. So for example, in Dubai Marina, there are lots of nice newer buildings that will cost you more, right? If you want to be in them, then fine. Again, it'll be more expensive. But you could also live in Dubai Marina in a 2-bedroom apartment in a room that has a partial view of the marina, so a nice view, for around about 65 to 75,000 dirham per year. And the way that's usually paid is in check. Well, it's always paid in checks, right? You get a check from your bank, something that I didn't mention in terms of setting up over here. Once you've got your Emirates ID, you can get a bank account, and you need that because you need a checkbook to pay for your rent. So the way your rent is paid is in checks. You'll give your landlord 1 check if you want to pay in full up front, or 2 checks if you want to pay in 2 installments, 6 checks if you want to pay in 6 installments. That'll be negotiated with your landlord. Anyway, 65 to 75,000 dirham, which is roughly 12,500 to 14,500 pounds per year. So on top of that, you will have your electricity and water and your internet, as well as a few other bills as well. So all in all, a budget of around £1,500 per month for a 2-bedroom apartment, including your bills, is probably going to be plenty. You could spend double that and just have a newer, slightly nicer apartment. If you want to, if that's what you want to do, go for it. I have friends doing the exact same thing. But if you wanted to look on the lower end, £1,500 per month is probably the budget that you're going to need. Now, another option here is sharing a flat. Whether you're already going to do that with a partner in a 2-bedroom apartment or live with someone else, or coming over here and finding a flat share. That's something you can find in those Facebook groups or on a website called Dubizzle, and that's where you'll find places to rent as well. If you're looking to do a flat share with someone, obviously you can just half that budget and it works out much cheaper for you. Or if you're moving over as a couple or 2 friends, then obviously you can share the cost of that housing and bills. If you were looking into a villa or townhouse in one of the communities that I've mentioned, like Dubai Hills or Arabian Ranches, you're probably going to need a budget of at least £2,500 per month. Again, there are so many different types of townhouses, villas, and you could spend way more than that. But if for a 3-bedroom townhouse, for example, in Dubai Hills, you're probably going to be needing to budget £2,500 per month, and that's again including the bills. So when it comes to your weekly shop, your groceries, the things you need at home, toiletries and whatever, that's one of the things that it's unavoidably more expensive, or way more inconvenient to try and keep your costs down. In the UK, I can go to Aldi and spend very little and get 90% of the food, groceries and things that I need, knowing that I'll just have to go to an Asda or a Tesco to get the other 10% that may cost me a little bit more, because Aldi doesn't quite have the brands. If you wanted to just get the cheapest possible shopping in Dubai, you'd probably have to visit 20 different stores each week. One's for certain vegetables, one's for other vegetables, one's for certain fruits, a different one for other fruits, one for certain meat, another one for different meat. So it's pretty much impossible to avoid the fact that your shopping bill each week will be more expensive here than in the UK. To give you an example of how different your shopping bill may be, in the UK, our shopping bill was around £80 per week. In Dubai, it's around £200 per week, so well, over double. We could get it lower quite easily, but we've opted for convenience. So we go to one store, do pretty much all of our shopping from that one store each week. And it's not necessarily the cheapest, it's just the biggest and it has everything there. Could we make it cheaper? Yeah, of course. We could go to different stores that specialize in cheaper items. But it's just the payoff that we've decided to go for is convenience. If you're raising kids over here, expect to be paying 10 grand a year for your kids, 10,000 British pounds. That's a general guide, but the cost of schooling will probably be £1,000 or £2,000 either side of that. So £8,000 to £12,000 is the general range for a school year for your kid. I hope this video has been helpful. I've tried to give you as much information as possible about moving to Dubai. I absolutely love it here. We feel extremely grateful to be here. We love the vibe, the society. We love what they're doing here. They're trying to proactively create the best place on earth to live. And there just aren't many cities or places doing that. So I do feel incredibly privileged and thankful as well for the people in charge here and what they're building here in Dubai. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit subscribe. If you have any other questions about Dubai, please put them in the comments below. I'm sure I've missed so much. So if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them. Just put them in the comments below.